What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a classic storytime video. Before I dive into that, I want to mention a couple things. First off, drop a like on this video if you do enjoy. Second off, a lot of you guys didn't seem to understand the video yesterday. It was a joke. I intentionally put out the stupidest story I could possibly think of because it was April Fool's. You know, it was my way of dicking around on that day and getting in on the fun. So hope you guys weren't too upset with that video, but I got a lot of comments talking like, Goblin, that's the shittiest story ever. First time hugging, you're fucking lame. This is how you know you're running out of stories. Settle down, everybody. It's okay. And third and final thing, we are going to be playing some PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds in today's video. The FPS and graphics aren't the best because this game's really poorly optimized, so it's kind of hard for me to run. But either way, I hope you guys do enjoy the gameplay. Let me know if you want to see more of this game or other games in the comment section below. And, you know, you guys also said on my stealing from Walmart video that you kind of wanted this to turn into a series. So this is a bit of a mini series. You know, expect more stealing videos coming soon. So anyways, let's dive into it. So this happened a really long time ago, actually, before I really got heavy into drugs. This was in my sophomore year of high school, back when I was just drinking and smoking every now and then. And, you know, all my buddies would offer me money to go steal them alcohol because I was the guy who would always go steal shit. You know, even if I wasn't stealing it for money, if I just, you know, wanted some food while I was walking home from school, I'd go walk over to the grocery store and like steal a bag of chips or some shit and just eat it on the way home. You know, that's just how I was. So there was this grocery store near me called Caputo's. Now, this store is like it's kind of a fancy, like higher end grocery store. You know, it's not your average, like, you know, whatever grocery store you have in your state, because they all vary by where you live. But, you know, it's not like your average standard grocery store. It's like a tier below a Whole Foods, basically. So, you know, I would go into the store all the time, and I knew a couple people who worked here, and I knew like the layout of the store, but I never really went there for anything but to steal. And on this particular day, you know, what I did and what I would normally do is it would be like a Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, and my buddies and I would be trying to get drunk. So I would go into the store and I'd bring my backpack in, and I was just a fucking idiot, okay? Like, I was so dumb with how I would try to steal. I would go into this store, and on this particular day, this is what I did. I went into the store with my backpack on, and it was like right after school got out, you know, maybe like 30 minutes after, and at this point, I was driving to and from school, so I could just drive right over to the grocery store after school. And I go in there, you know, I'm walking around, I'm looking around like I'm going to buy some things. And I would always buy like some little thing, because how they had the store set up was they had the doors that let you in, but they didn't go back out. And then they had the doors that let you out behind this like line of registers that you literally could not get past without passing a register. Like, they had a fucking barricade. It was like a checkpoint in those countries that are taking in refugees and shit, or like kicking out the refugees. It was like a fucking military checkpoint in this bitch. So I go inside, I got my bag on, I'm looking around for like cheap shit, like just trying to figure out what I can buy. And I grab like 2 bags of Doritos, the little ones, and they're like 70 cents a pop. So I just grabbed 2 of them, and I grabbed something to drink. And I was walking around with that on me. And then I went over and I kind of lingered around the alcohol section, because the store was laid out kind of weirdly. They had like separate, like they had the main room of the store, and then they had these little like off rooms that like, they were literally rooms, like they were walled in and like only had like a couple entrances, but they were all connected. And they had rooms for like each thing, and they were labeled like wine, you know, liquor, beer, and then like you know, snacks, pet supplies, you know, baby supplies, stuff like that. So I would kind of linger around the, you know, like house supplies area where like the paper towels were and all that, because that was connected to the area where the alcohol was. And the easiest stuff to steal from the store was usually wine. And, you know, it was kind of weird sitting there drinking wine like it was hard liquor. Occasionally I would get my bottle of vodka, but on this particular day, I went in and grabbed some wine. So, you know, I'm going into the alcohol section. I grab like 2-3 bottles of wine, and, you know, I walk back over to the paper towel section. I made sure nobody else was in the wine section while I grabbed those bottles. So I grabbed them. I was just walking around with them in my hands, you know, like a normal person. I looked sketchy as fuck. I already know I did, but I didn't really care at this point. So I went over to the back of the paper towels aisle, and it's got this little corner where you can't really be seen unless someone's coming from the other side. And the only like angle you could see the corner I was in from was coming from the snacks area. No one ever really went back there. Like, every time I went back there, there'd be like maybe one other guy within like 10 minutes of me being back there. Like, no one would be there. So I opened up my backpack, and I would come in with it already like kind of unzipped. and I put the bottles in there. Now, I put the bottles in different pockets of the bag so they wouldn't be clinking together. At least it wouldn't be as loud while I was walking. So I grabbed the bottles, I put them in there, zip it back up, put it on my back, and go to check out. I've got my 2 bags of Doritos and I think I got like an Arizona or some little cheap drink. I checked out. Everything was fine at this point, and I got away with it at the time. I walk out. I kind of speed walked to my car. I wasn't even looking over my shoulder. I was just walking right to my car. Got in my car. Everything was good. And, later that night, I went and, sold one of the bottles to one of my buddies for like $10 or some shit and drank the other. We were just kicking it. It was some nice wine. It actually tasted really good. I can't lie. I mean, if you're trying to like get drunk, just get hard liquor or beer, don't fucking drink wine. But it was free for us. So like, or at least for me. So of course, if it has alcohol in it, I'll drink it if I didn't pay for it. So, I didn't get caught and everything was good at this point. For now, I didn't get caught. That's the key. And this was on a Friday. So, Monday rolls around. I go to school. I'm sitting in class. And all of a sudden, I get a pass. One of the, hall monitor people comes in and gives me a pass to go to the school police officer's office right after class. Now, at this point, I was doing some dumb shit around school. I'm pretty sure the school, employees knew who I was hanging around with. I was hanging around with a group of kids who were kind of known to, do drugs and drink and, just be bad influences. And, when I'd been pulled into the police officer's office, maybe a couple weeks prior, he told me, oh, well, we've seen you hanging around with that bad group of people. They influence a lot of people to do bad stuff. And, so I knew that the group of homies that I had was probably not the best. At least, they were great friends. I still talk to them. I love them to death. But, in terms of the eyes of the school officials, they were not the best. So I go out of the office figuring oh, he's just going to ask me a question about some dumb shit one of my friends did, whatever, no big deal. Let's go deal with this. So I go down there and I'm sitting in the waiting area. He's like, oh yeah, just give me a couple minutes here. I'm talking to someone else. So the other person walks out. I don't know who it is. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's, I don't know. I don't know what this could be because I figured he was going to call a lot of us down and ask us about some dumb shit we probably did. He pulls me into the office and he sits me down and he's like, oh, how you doing today? And I'm like, good. And he's like, do you know why I pulled you in here? And I'm like, no, because at this point I genuinely had no fucking clue. I figured I got off the property with the bottles. No one tried to stop me. I got away with it. I'm good. So he goes on his computer and he types something in and he pulls out these pieces of paper with security camera footage and it's little screenshots off the camera. And I'm sitting there and he shows me these and he's like, well, I got contacted by Caputo's, the grocery store, and they asked me if I happen to know this student. And apparently they contacted all the high schools in my district because I just looked like a student and I had a bag on. That's where I fucked up. And, he slides these pictures over to me, and I look at them, and there I am. And the worst part is I was wearing the exact same shirt in those pictures as I was on this day. I had a blue polo with a little, orange Ralph Lauren logo on it. I was wearing the same fucking thing. And he looks at me and he's like, in fact, you're wearing the same polo right now as you were in this picture. And I was just like, fuck, I knew it. I knew I was caught. So, he was looking at him for a minute and I was looking at him and he kept asking, was it me? And I just sat there in silence for a second, but I figured if I say it's not me, it's pretty fucking obvious. I'm wearing the same shirt, same hairstyle. I have the same backpack on me. There's no way this isn't me, So I'm just like, yeah, that's me. And he's like, well, they've actually caught you multiple times going and stealing, and they've sent me a bunch of security footage, and he showed me these other pieces of paper with different times I'd went in, and apparently they had been keeping tabs on me for about a month at this point. I'd gotten away with a decent amount prior to that, because this was my main liquor spot at this point, because I just thought it was so sweet. Pro tip right here, if you guys are stealing something often from a store and it seems like it's too sweet, it's not. It's not sweet at all. Just bail. If you get away from a store once or twice with some good shit, don't go back. Don't steal again. Don't do it. But anyways, so, I'm looking at these. I'm just like, fuck. And I'm tweaking out. I'm worried. I'm like, oh, shit. What's going to happen? At this point, I wasn't on probo. I wasn't on any papers or anything. I was pretty clean, not on court supervision. So he's like, all right, well, he didn't know about any of my past, charges, the station adjustment I'd gotten, or I think I'd gotten a possession ticket at this point, I believe, possibly not, but he didn't know about the station adjustment, and, he was like, all right, well, I'm going to write you a station adjustment since, you seem like a pretty good kid, and I haven't really seen you in trouble at school, and your record doesn't show anything, because he doesn't like work for the school and he's just the security officer. He works for the police department and is just at the school. Like, he just has an office at the school, but he works for the police department. Like, he has a badge and everything, so he has access to, you know, my records and like all that stuff, and he can see stuff about me. So he writes me the station adjustment, you know, basically just tells me, all right, well, they're asking for money back for the bottles. They're not trying to press charges. They just want the money back, and you're not allowed to go there ever again. So I was like, all right, whatever, that's cool. So, you know, I pay the money back. It was like $60. I was getting pretty cheap wine. You know, I paid my money back. I never went back there again. I had to sign this paper agreeing that I'd never go back. And then with the station adjustment, you know, even though they didn't press charges, like they didn't call directly and like say like, yeah, arrest this motherfucker, he still gave me a station adjustment with some community service hours on it. So, you know, I got that done. It wasn't that much. It was only like 20 hours, I think, 25, like not really shit. So I jagged on it for a while and I finally got it done. I kept like making up bullshit excuses as to why I wasn't doing it. And, you know, it was a pretty shitty situation. I remember I went to lunch after that and I was telling all my friends like, yo, I got fucking popped for stealing from Caputo's. And they were like, no way. Like, what the fuck? And I showed them my copy of the station adjustment because I got a copy as well. And they were like, holy shit, like that's fucked. So, you know, yeah, it was not a hoot or a holler. I'd rate it a 2 out of 10 because the alcohol was great, but the rest of it was fucked, especially community service. And yeah, shit was not sweet. After that, I kind of calmed down with the stealing stuff, although I still stole a lot. Eventually, it ramped back up to more than I ever stole. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. If you want to see more gameplay of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or if you want to hear more stealing stories like this, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.